Then David spoke to Saul, My lord should not lose heart. Let your servant go and fight this Philistine. But Saul answered David, You cannot go up against this Philistine and fight with him, for you are only a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth. Then David told Saul, Your servant used to tend his father's sheep. And whenever a lion or bear came to carry off a sheep from the flock, I would chase after it, attack it, and snatch the prey from its mouth. If it attacked me, I would seize it by the throat, strike it, and kill it. Your servant has killed both a lion and a bear. This Philistine will be as one of them, because he has insulted the armies of the living God. David continued, The same Lord who delivered me from the claws of the lion and the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul answered David, Go, the Lord will be with you. Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic, putting a bronze helmet on his head and arming him with a coat of mail. David also fastened Saul's sword over the tunic. He walked with difficulty, however, since he had never worn armor before. He said to Saul, I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them. So he took them off. Then, staff in hand, David selected 5 smooth stones from the wadi and put them in his pocket of his shepherd's bag. With his sling in hand, he approached the Philistine. With his shield-bearer marching before him, the Philistine advanced closer and closer to David. When he sized David up and saw that he was youthful, ruddy, and handsome in appearance, he began to deride him. He said to David, Am I a dog that you come against me with a staff? Then the Philistine cursed David by his gods and said to him, Come here to me, and I will feed your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. David answered him, You come against me with a sword and a spear and scimitar, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have insulted. Today the Lord shall deliver you into my hand. I will strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will feed your dead body and the dead bodies of the Philistine army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Thus the whole land shall learn that Israel has a God. All this multitude, too, shall learn that it is not by a sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle belongs to the Lord, who shall deliver you into our hands. The Philistine then moved to meet David at close quarters, while David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand into the bag and took out a stone, hurled it with his sling, and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone embedded itself in his brow, and he fell on his face to the ground. Thus David triumphed over the Philistine with sling and stone. He struck the Philistine dead, and did it without a sword in his hand. Then David ran and stood over him. With the Philistine's own sword, which he drew from his sheath, he killed him, and cut off his head. The story of David and Goliath is a very well-known one in the Bible, because it's about the underdog, David. David is a shepherd's son. He's just a small, young, teenage boy who gets caught up in the wars against the Philistines and the Israelites. And, you know, you never expect David to win. Like, how could this small teenage boy ever do anything against the greatest warrior of the entire Philistine army, who has a massive sword, giant armor? He's like 9 feet tall. There's no way this kid's gonna beat him. And he did. How did David beat him? Because he had the Lord with him. David had also won other battles where it seemed unwinnable, such as when he was fighting the bears and lions that had been attacking his flock of sheep. He beat them, even though he would have probably died to them, just like he would have probably died to Goliath. But he didn't, because he had faith in the Lord. This can also apply to us, because in times of despair or loss where we think we're not strong enough, we think we can't do anything, we're just the underdog, we're weak, the odds are against us, if we have the Lord with us, it doesn't matter. Because the strength that He gives to us can make us win and make us succeed crazy things where we never thought that would have ever been possible otherwise. Just like how David, had he just been some other teenage boy, he probably would have died. But he was David. He had the Lord with him, and the Lord strengthened him. The Lord had delivered him from the bears and lions that had attacked his flock that he had to fight when he was younger. and it delivered him from Goliath, the best warrior the Philistines had. But there was a difference between Goliath as a warrior and David as a warrior. Goliath did not have the Lord with him. Goliath was just a brute. He may have been strong on earth. He may have been strong against other peoples that he plundered and killed that did not have the Lord with him. But he was not strong against David and David's people. Because David and David's people had the Lord with him. And the Lord strengthened him. And the Lord protected him. Because the Lord is what made David win. His faith in the Lord gave him strength. Just as in today, if we have faith in the Lord, we can do anything.